I'd like to call the meeting to order. I'd like us to pause to seek guidance, please. Okay, I'll read the mission statement. To provide, promote, or facilitate municipal services that meet the community needs by preserving, supporting, and enhancing quality of life for all. The next is the agenda. Is there any additions or deletions? Hearing none, would someone like to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Is there a seconder?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded, motion carried. Now, the next, the minutes of February 27th. Is there any errors or omissions?
I'll move for acceptance of the minutes of council from February the 27th.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded, motion carried. Business arising from the minutes of old business. Councilor Adams? Councilor Tudor?
Pardon?
Any business
Oh, no.
arising from Deputy Warden McAlpine?
Yes, pertaining to the letter that you sent to the Premier in regard to the boundary review, I read the response that the Premier gave back to you in all the minutes, and I think it'd be very important that you're able to present when they come around.
I did.
Oh, you already did it?
I went up on Saturday
Okay.
and
How'd it go?
in Middleton. I think I brought up forward everything that we brought forward, plus some other concerns. And it was funny, Minister Ramona Jennings was there and she spoke. She didn't speak on the number, but she spoke on her concerns if we just look at numbers. And also, Opposition Leader Stephen McNeil spoke, and his actually was very similar to what I was saying from what we wrote in our other concerns. The town, Mike Bartlett, the councilor, was from the town there. He did not speak. There was others that spoke, but I couldn't tell you who they were. But
Was it well attended?
no,
No?
was not. And they said the most they had was 40.
How many were at this one?
I'd say 20 or 15 to 20 in that area.
Okay. Where was it?
At the Middleton NLCC. That was the closest one I could see that was here, and I wanted to.
No, that's good. Well, when I read the letter from the Premier, I noted that they said that they weren't just going to look at the population, but yes, that seems like what's been said in the press up till now. It's going to be based on population, so.
And I brought up how important areas of interest are, as well as culture and speaking, like, Clare, Argyle, even Preston, they need their own, even if it isn't the numbers and it isn't the 25%.
Yeah.
I mean, Professor Bickerton asked me a couple of questions after.
He's a panelist?
Yes, he was one of the panelists. They all had the privilege of asking him. He asked me some more questions that rounded out.
Okay. Another question I had was, when a question, the comment, I was happy to see the response you received back from, in regards to the Digby County Family Resource Center, that they were going to give, they've got their funding extension for 2 more years, so I'm glad to see that, and hopefully that the letter that was sent out too, so.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I have nothing. On the next, under new business, the first is the annual borrowing resolution, corporate visa. So,
Okay.
it's under the borrowing resolution municipalities and school boards.
Okay. I move that the resolution for borrowing resolution for municipalities and school boards to the sum, promissory note sum of not to exceed $25,000 to meet until the taxes are
Is there a second? Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded, motion carried. The next is the amendment to the agreement with the town for the transfer station, the HHW and public drop-off.
I so move the changes to the agreement with the town of Digby in regards to the transfer station public drop-off site.
I second it.
Okay, and we don't have to read that one change?
You want me to read it?
Is
Two or
that,
three different changes. I think that
the
most.
night was six.
I'll read that one. The capital and operating costs for the solid waste transfer facility are shared between the municipality and the town, with the municipality responsible for 57% and the town 43%. This cost sharing is reflective of the current ratio of solid waste garbage collected in the town and the municipality, and also that this agreement shall be reviewed by the chief administrative officers of both units every 2 years to ensure that the cost sharing ratio is kept current. So I move acceptance of this.
Is there a seconder?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded, motion carried. Next, under new business, Royal Percy Heritage Lighthouse Protection Act.
Good evening, Council, Deputy Warden. I'm here this evening to, on behalf of the Friends of Point Prim Society, to request a letter of support in our application to nominate Point Prim as a Heritage Lighthouse under Parks Canada's National Heritage Lighthouse Registry. Parks Canada has requested communities from across Canada to submit nominations to designate heritage lighthouses. The process starts with a 25 main petition, and that's part of the application form, and a statement of significance on the property. And this is to be submitted by May 29th, 2012. The acceptance of the nomination through Parks Canada will be done on May 29th, 2015. And the announcement of the recipients of the designations will be announced on August 27th, 2015. The request is for us to move forward is to nominate to have the nomination application come from Friends of Point Prim, and we were requesting a letter of support from Municipal Council, and this letter should state that Council supports this nomination and agree to partnering with the Friends of Point Prim to ensure that Point Prim will remain a public green space for the future. The letter should indicate Council's willingness to take on ownership role of the property if or when divestiture is awarded with regard to Point Prim. And it should state as well that the Friends of Point Prim Society would be the operating body for the site. There are several advantages of the heritage designation. One advantage is that Parks Canada will promote Point Prim on their national registry, similar to their other Heritage Canada historic sites. There is potential of a startup fund that would be distributed to the organization that has received this designation to bring the properties up to a standard. These are the buildings themselves, not just land. Painting, structural issues, that sort of thing would have to be addressed in the context of keeping it in the architectural merits that are basically is going to be designated under. But mainly, the advantage is to have Point Prim designated to ensure that the property is protected under a cultural perspective. And I think that's sort of the ideology that the Friends of Point Prim would like to preserve. That's pretty much my request from our group. And any questions?
Any questions? Deputy Warden?
Would we not have to put a It was on the radio today.
Yeah,
500, they're investing 500 lighthouses, so I was just curious to know whether this is one of them.
not at this point,
No.
no. No, the nearest one would be Victoria Beach
Okay.
in Athens County. There are 14 listed as of last week on their site. That is through Nova Scotia that have been submitted for nomination.
Okay. But so, getting back to the question,
Yeah.
would, like, the letter of support, no problem, I have a problem with that, but at the same time, do we not have to submit a letter to the federal government asking to be able to vest that lighthouse to us as a municipality?
Not yet.
Not yet?
Yeah, the process seems to be that, it's a roundabout way, I try to explain this, that the heritage designation has a timeline. The vestiture, as you know, with maybe a few other lighthouses, the timeline is 10 years. You know, it's been taking quite a while in some cases. This heritage designation is an opportunity to maybe get in the queue a little earlier,
Okay.
right? And have access to some standardizing funds to bring the properties up so they're presentable. And an organization isn't left with, you know, what elephant to spend 20 grand on right off the bat. But the designation process is to be announced February 27th, I think it's yeah, 2015. So at that point, if you were one of the successful candidates in being a heritage lighthouse, you would go on a short list, and that process of divestiture would you know, be activated or more active. I don't know what the timelines would be after 2015 on when Point Prim would come up on the queue, but I'm pretty sure it'd be a lot faster than the other alternative.
Okay.
The only reason I answered you was because I attended the AGM of the Friends to my friend.
I was just curious to know because I know that, excuse me, for quite a number of years now, we've tried to see about the divestiture of the
Actually, that was discussed.
What's the update on it then?
It is still in limbo.
It is?
Yep.
So, that's been going on since 2002.
Yes,
Okay.
but that was brought up.
All right, thank you.
Oh, sorry.
You mentioned a startup fund. Where would that money come from? Just any
That is
idea?
a potential startup.
Well, is that potentially federally or potentially municipally?
I would say it's a
Federally.
federally owned property now. They're
Federally.
gonna wanna bring something up so that they don't divest something over that is dangerous
Yeah.
and has some structural issues. And they're gonna want to repair that so that there's no complications, you know, after they go through the process.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you very much. At this time, would you like to make a motion?
I so move that we, excuse me, that we support the nomination and application that the Friends of Point Prim Lighthouse Society, no, Friends of Point Prim Society is requesting a letter of support from municipal council, and I so move that we support that.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded, motion carried. The next is request for letter of support, they have funded the Experience Center Advisory Working Group.
I'll make a motion to that.
Okay.
I move that we write a letter of support for the Bay of Fundy Experience Center Advisory Working Group.
Is there a second?
Second that.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded, motion carried. The next is the Digby Area Senior Safety Program funding.
Excuse me.
I would like to say that our senior safety committee representative here is known across the province for the work that's being done here. We're leaders in several areas, including the project they're doing on restorative justice with the seniors, and I think that we should give them the money. So I'd like to make a motion to that effect.
Gotta go to the budget.
Sorry, let's go to budget, but anyway.
second that it goes to budget, and just want to say also that I find that this is one of the better programs that we do support, and, but yes, it has to go through our budget process.
I'd like to echo Councillor Adams and Deputy Warden McAlpine's opinion on that. I agree fully.
All righty. So for the funding to go to the budget process, that motion has been made. All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded, motion carried. The next is the owner, operator, and fleet separation policies, number 6.
I'll speak to that. I think this has the reason that there is still any sort of fishery at all in my area that's, economically viable and broad-based is because of the fleet separation and owner-operator principle. This is the first thing that I've seen come down the line since my involvement in politics that has the potential just to ruin the whole scene. Currently, I'd say on BC, you can, an investor can buy a license and he just sells it essentially or rents it out to the boats. And so it's an entirely new level of income being picked out of their pockets, essentially. You want your black cod license, you pay them whatever amount of money, plus then you come back and sell it. And that's just straight out of the workers' pockets and straight off these boats. And what ends up happening is the fishery will become corporatized. And rather than one small boat with 3 people working on it, on the boat, and maybe a person on shore, you will have a larger boat, say 110 feet. It would have 8 licenses. It would have several people that work full-time as maybe an hourly wage. And what the end result is much, much less workers. And I've heard many arguments in support of this. One is that it would be more efficient, that they could sell the lobster for a cheaper price. And I really don't think lobster being cheaper is a very good argument, personally. And it is absolutely vital. Anything the province should be clamping down on the lease agreements where these corporations and big businesses are using to get around the current rules. And instead, they're not saying anything about it, and there's a lot of concern in my area, and I'm sure in other areas where there's small fishing outports, which I don't have to tell you are a rarity nowadays, especially viable ones. And I would like to see council write a letter to the Department of Fisheries talking about the absolute vital importance of this issue to the area, that it remains owner-operator and fleet separation.
You made a motion?
Yeah, just for discussion, yes, I move that we write a letter in support of owner-operator and fleet separation.
I second that.
Discussion.
I believe the letter should be going to Minister Keith Ashfield, who's the Minister of Fisheries and Oceans. And we should be CCing our MP Greg Kerr and CCing Minister Sterling Doble from the provincial government. And I also feel very strongly that if they make changes to this, it's going to ruin the fisheries in Nova Scotia.
I think
And,
the MLA needs to.
We've already seen that what's happened to other fisheries when they've done this in the past. And basically the big business had the offshore fleets and offshore operations, and now they want the inshore. And basically you'll have all the licenses will be pulled out, and they'll have maybe one big boat with 10 licenses on it, and you'll have one cruise instead of 10 cruises, and so the jobs are going to be gone, and the whole fabric of Southwest Nova Scotia is going to be changed. So I really feel strongly that this letter's got to go. It's got to be a strong, firm letter.
I'm very happy that you agree with that, Mr. Deputy McAlpine. It is vital.
Any other discussion? I will tell you, I do believe in the owner-operator. I often have a concern about how they try to get around it as well. It's there to keep small business going, in actual fact. And that's what we need. We need people there that are fishing, that are owners. So, You have my full support.
I was wondering if we could also include in the letter, if it would be acceptable, some of the methods such as trust agreements that are used concurrently to get around the fleet separation policy. If anything, it should be strengthened, not done away with.
Close the loopholes.
Yes, exactly. There is loopholes, and if you wouldn't mind including that in the letter, if everybody else agrees.
I may not be specific as to what the loopholes are, I mean.
I can write you up something. Yeah. So like an information piece, and then you can do with it as you see fit.
Okay.
I'll write that down.
All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded, motion carried. The next is VON.
I so move that we refer this to our budget process, the request from the VON for funding.
Is there a seconder?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded, motion carried. The next is the CAO report. The decision direction request is the extension of term of current PAC citizen members.
Okay, is this because we're in the process of doing the Conway
Yes.
review and we want those same people to be sitting?
Exactly.
And their term is up this year?
April. One was up in February of this year and the other was up in April. So I'm recommending that we continue with the same representatives until such time as the Conway plan is finalized.
Do we need a motion?
Yes.
I'll make that motion.
Is there a seconder?
I'll second that
Any discussion?
question.
Yes.
So one person's term is expired in February, and the other one's expired in April?
Yes.
Of this year?
Yes.
Okay, and what was it, a 2-year term? All right.
And we have, and it's on our agenda later on, there has been one
Vacancy.
resignation. So there's a vacancy that will be filled in tonight.
Okay.
Do you want a time on that extension of the term? No, in the motion?
Only until the review is finalized,
Okay, so-
approved by council. That'll be the timeline.
So Conway land use bylaws review is approved by council.
All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded, motion carried. Just to remind you, there's no meeting on April the 2nd. There's no meeting on April the 9th, though I really think there should be. I'd like to see Linda in here by herself on Easter Monday. Oh,
Thank you.
I just thought I'd be nice.
You're talking about yourself.
Oh, okay, I misunderstood. Thank you.
I sort of misunderstood that too. On April the 10th, instead will be our committee of the whole, instead of Easter Monday, seriously. On April the 16th, bylaw and policy, and of course, April 23rd, council. On April 30th, there will be no meeting. Following that, there was her meeting actions, capital and special project updates are all there. Any questions or concerns? Hearing none, then we'll go to the payables. I just got to find them. Okay. At the end. Would someone like to move the payables?
I so move that we, make a motion that we accept payables of $371,856.40.
Is there a seconder?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded, motion carried. Financial report of February 12. Okay, the next is correspondence. What is put in the correspondence was progress update Cook Agriculture. Just to let you know, I am meeting with Cook Agriculture on Thursday.
If I had asked what concerning what? Anything in
Updates of
particular?
what's going on, yes, that type of thing. The next is Public Health Agency of Canada, response from our letter of support for the Digby Area Family Resource Center. Then we have Destination Southwest Nova Association Minutes, January 2012, Jim Power, Municipal Bylaws, Andrew Green, Briar Island Center, Digby Area Board of Trade. In the Digby Area Board of Trade, I just wanted to comment that Ian, they are going to have an award named after him. Minister Paris letter and Christopher Wright response. And that was actually under my ferry. That was the only thing we did this month, in the St. John Ferry. And then there was the Northern Point, and then the tribute and letter on Ian Russell, which I just spoke of. Is there any questions on any correspondence? If not, we will go to council committees, committee of the whole. First one is the partnership with Annapolis Royal for provision of GIS mapping. It's under,
I was under council committee and advisory committees. No, I was looking there, I didn't see it.
There's no, I think documentation that was,
It wasn't. Okay. I so move that we partner with Annapolis Royal for provision of GIS mapping.
is there a seconder?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded, motion carried. The next is approval to hire summer student to collect data required for the GIS mapping.
And I so move that we approve the funding to hire summer student to collect data requiring GSI mapping.
All in favor?
I'll second that.
Oh, sorry.
Question, you were saying we provide the funding? I thought that was a program where we,
We
the
have to
province
apply.
provides
cost,
funding.
we apply for the funding, but it is cost shared.
Oh, okay, I just wanted to make sure.
We have to hire.
Okay, yeah, just wanted to make sure. Thank you.
Sorry, thank you for seconding. All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded, motion carried. The next is a citizen appointment to the Planning Advisory Committee from the Bylaw and Policy Committee. Would someone like to make that one a motion?
I'll move that we appoint,
No, is it
no,
appoint?
we already, that Jay Stone be appointed to the Planning Advisory Committee.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded, motion carried. The next is the amendment of dark legal agreement. That was under our bylaw and policy.
And
That's to get the loan, right?
is
Yes.
an amendment to clause 16D, which would allow borrowing.
Yeah,
from
okay, yes.
Either currently it's listed as a municipal finance commission, but it will add that they can borrow from a chartered bank to
Yep.
meet capital requirements.
I move that we amend the dark legal agreement to allow borrowing from outside institutions beyond the municipal.
Chartered bank.
Yeah, municipal.
Is there a seconder?
I'll second that, no question.
Mm-hmm.
That's for capital?
For capital.
Capital?
Yes.
okay.
Currently,
No, I was gonna ask, like, is there a requirement from DARC to go back to both respective councils if the capital request is over a certain monetary threshold?
what this would be if there's if there was new bond monies to be borrowed, both municipal units would have to provide a guarantee for that
So
bond.
that
It has to
they would
come
come
down.
to us.
We would have to guarantee. This only simply allows them to do it. It doesn't mean that we're giving them
Right.
the right to do that. I think DARC has to discuss.
That's the only question I had, the committee itself cannot just go
Oh, no,
forward
no,
money
no,
without
no,
coming back
no,
to council
no.
first.
Well, they could do it, but if they want us to guarantee, well, no, they couldn't do it because we would actually have to
Should
Right.
work
pay
that
back
much.
any loans.
It's just that, and I don't have a problem with representation on DARC, but this here is gonna be in place forever type thing
Yeah.
until some of the council changes it, and I just would wanna be careful to make sure that the council supported any capital work.
Oh,
that's
gosh,
being
yes,
done.
definitely.
Oh, yes,
Okay,
we couldn't go forward with it, approval.
all right.
All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded, motion carried. The next is the first reading of the bylaw for alternative voting in October 2012 municipal election, and it's number 2012-01.
I so move first reading of bylaw for alternative voting in October 2012 municipal election number 2012-01.
Is there a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded, motion carried.
Just to talk to that for just 1 second though, and it's
Oh.
too late, but that's the same company, not this company, but the We went with the right one, I think. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes, yes.
It's the same one Halifax has, and the NDP convention just had was the other company. So I was satisfied, I was like, oh, well, not satisfied to see that, but I feel good about that.
Happy, wasn't it?
Yes, I feel good about our decision.
Next is the advisory committees. The Digby Source Water Protection Advisory Committee, Councilor Adams, there's been no meeting since your last report.
No, we're meeting this week, March the 29th, and we'll be discussing the open house, which will be early in May.
Okay. Heritage Advisory Committee, Councilor Amiro and Councilor Adams, there's been no meeting since the last report. The Planning Advisory Committee, Warden Gregory, Councilor Adams, Councilor Tudor, the minutes were May, a meeting held on March 20th. We just picked our new member, and we're going to be working on the Conway area.
There'll be the first public participation meeting in regard to the Conway review will be held on May 2nd, at 6 o'clock here.
Mhm. The next is the Police Advisory Committee, Warden Gregory, Councilor Adams, Councilor Ramiro. There's a meeting scheduled for April 17th. The Remo Advisory Committee, Warden Gregory, Deputy Warden McAlpine. There's been no meeting since the last report, and our meeting is due, it's Monday. It's April 16th at 4 p.m. The next is the Western Regional Housing Authority, R. Fitzgerald report for August 1st, 2011 to February 29th, 2012. Next is our regional joint committees, Airport Working Group, Deputy Warden McAlpine, Councilor Adams. Do I,
I met. Yes, I was able to go. Linda Fraser and Gordon Wilson and myself met with Jed Stone.
Pardon me, I'm sorry, my hearing's not very good.
Yeah, last week, sorry. We met with Jed Stonehouse. He came to give us an update on how things were going. And Linda Fraser and Gordon Wilson and myself attended. Do you want to say anything about the
Other than that, the initiative looks very promising, and
yeah. They've been working hard on it. You can see they've got lots of ideas, and it's well thought of, I think.
yeah, I think it's getting close to being reported back to the airport committee.
the next is the Annapolis Digby Economic Development Agency, Councilor Randall Amiro. Next board meeting scheduled for April, and Councilor Amiro is away. The next is the Bay of Fundy Marine Transportation Association, and that we only have, it's been done, it's just we've heard from the letter from, oh my gosh,
Paris.
Thank you, Minister Paris. And of course, there's been the announcement of 2 more years funding. The next is the Digby Annapolis Development Corp., Deputy Warden McAlpine, Councilor Miro, meeting scheduled for March 29th. The Digby Area Learning Association, Councilor Adams, there's no minutes.
Well, and I had asked her to send you minutes, and she still hasn't sent them on. Haven't gotten anything. She told me that she was sending them every month.
It's not me.
I'll check again.
And perhaps you can,
Do you get them?
if you should get the minutes. and
Yeah, I
then-
just got them this week.
Yeah, if you would send them to Karen.
Yeah,
That would
okay,
be
I'll do
good.
that. Yeah, all right. Yeah, I just got them.
And can you go back and get the back minutes for us?
I can?
Tell her we'd like to have the last at least 6 months.
Yeah. There's
No.
a meeting, we're having a meeting this week on Wednesday, so I will talk to her. Minutes.
Request of us.
Yeah, because I did mention it to her. but
The last
we
6
didn't have
meetings
the
we
last
want. I'm saying 6 months for the last 6. That should cover us.
Yep.
The next is the Digby Area Tourism Association, Councilor Tudor, Bay of Fundy Experience Center Advisory Group, February 2nd, March 1st, and the 6 minutes have been sent. I've just sent them on to March 20th as well.
Yeah, they're coming along and they're working like animals, what can I say? They're busy, busy bunch.
Okay.
Sounds like it could be more specific than that.
Well, they're doing
They're staying on, they have a goal and they're working tirelessly for it, and they're still, everyone's still very motivated.
They really hope to have the building up by 2015.
Wow.
That is the goal, and Dean is working his heart and soul on that.
Is there a request for proposal put out now for a feasibility study? I did today that there.
I got something about that just the other day.
Yes.
Yes? Oh, there you go.
The next is the Digby Area Recreation Commission, Warden Gregory and Councilor Tudor. There's the minutes of the AGM January, the minutes of January 18th. Our next meeting is on April the 4th. We did not have a meeting in March, and we're not having a meeting the rest of April because of the volunteer services, the volunteer ceremony. April 18th. So, is there any questions for the Digby Area Recreation? They are having on March the 28th, trails, meeting open from 10 to 2. Everyone is welcome to attend that's interested.
That's Wednesday, right?
Yes, that's Wednesday.
I'm gonna go.
Yeah. So rails to trails.
So my nose is.
The next is the Digby Harbor Port Association. You have the minutes of December and January. We have just met. Actually, we met on Thursday, so there's no minutes yet. But I will say that there's been, if anyone has noticed down at the wharf, there has been improvements taking place. You know, and that's happening with the SOSI. So, again, their annual meeting is coming up next month. We don't really have any money, but we're not in the red either. As long as we can keep paying our payments. That's really about it to report right now. I mean, they're working right along diligently, and they've been working with other groups. I will say that Jeff is doing an excellent job. The Friends of Point Prim commented on how well he has been working with them. And with the, and we're looking to expand the driveway, they are looking to expand the driveway with Friends of Point Prim. But with the camera up, it really helps the fishermen. They're looking at the tide thing. So I just wanted to say with the Digby Port Association, they're getting good PR, and they're sending out a newsletter to all their users and keeping everybody updated. Next is Digby Library Deputy Warden meeting scheduled for March 27th.
Pardon me, didn't you have another meeting just a little while ago,
I
though?
remember that one.
Oh, it was regional. Oops.
The next is the Digby Municipal Fire Association, Councilor Tudor.
I guess that's probably around the same problem with the minutes. We've been having it for several months. I guess I'll see if I'll get a hold of the last several, probably the same, similar to Marissa,
And
because
you
it seems
get-
every meeting we have.
And once you get them, you send them to Karen.
Okay.
And, yeah, everything goes to Karen. CC it to Linda, but send it to Karen.
Yep,
Okay.
I'll give them an email tonight.
You should have, yeah, the last several minutes.
We've had trouble with this for a while.
Next is the Regional Joint Committees. Industrial Commission, Deputy Warden McAlpine, Councilor Amiro, no meeting since last report. Yes, sir?
There was a meeting today, I wasn't able to attend, but our CAO was able to attend it, and it was to deal with the, working on an RFP for site selection, putting in a request for funding.
We met with Liz Ryan, who's managing director of the RDA, who will put the application into the system. It's an application provincially and with a COA and a third, to a maximum of 30,000 from the Industrial Commission. And indications were today, we were told that the COA funding may maybe several months before we actually hear anything because of the budget that's coming down. So we're hoping to get this application out so that we can get the RFP out as soon as possible, but that may not happen due to the delay in hearing on funding from the co-op. But everything's set to go. Actually, I think I'm gonna meet with Louise Watson from the province and hopefully Mike Camo from the co-op on Friday to get this moving forward.
Great. The next is the King's Transit Authority, Councilor Miro, February ridership report. We all see is going up, which is really nice to see. Randall was going to be putting forward a concern from us, and we don't really have any answer yet.
I haven't heard anything on how the meeting, what happened at the meeting, although I think you all saw the press release that Annapolis County has actually decided to leave King's Transit.
Postpone?
Yes?
Have we heard from Annapolis County to see whether or not this system's gonna stay seamless, like there won't be a change?
I can promise the letter.
They did mention in the media that was a
They still-
plan,
But they still haven't talked to King's Transit or ourselves yet.
so they just said the meeting
Well,
would be
that-
seamless.
In talking with the CAO last week,
Oh,
she
okay.
indicated that Trans-County Transportation Society had met with
Oh,
King's
okay.
Transit. But I haven't heard any of the outcomes other than it's gonna be seamless, like a seamless transition that the riders will be
Yeah.
able to go from one
Transit
system to
transit
the
system.
other without impacting, and that's what I've heard from their CAO.
But they are supposed to be sending us a letter.
Can I ask that we send a letter to King's Transit asking for clarification on how that's gonna work, because is our ridership gonna have to pay Annapolis County to ride on their bus to get through Annapolis County? Like, I'd like to have those questions answered for the community.
It would be, I would suggest that we actually have the manager come down and meet with council
Mhm.
and to discuss the details.
Yes.
Yeah, so send a letter off and ask her, or call,
Actually,
or whatever.
he's coming down on sometime in April to discuss the budget, so at that time,
Yeah.
that's,
We're
it's
talking
wait
about
until April.
King's Transit?
Yes,
Yeah.
Should we not have somebody from the new transportation as well?
No, we don't deal with them, we deal with the transit, that's who we should.
well, we
deal
could
with.
meet with King's Transit first and then.
Yeah.
King's Transit would really be working on that on our behalf, so.
And I'd like to see our letter from Annapolis before we invite their, I don't want them to think we're trying to override everything.
Well, we're just looking after our own interests in
Oh,
discussing with
yes.
King's Transit, so I don't,
No, I meant for the other to talk with their transit, their,
that may be difficult.
yeah. The next is medic, that's myself. We have just had a meeting. At the meeting, we are still looking for doctors. Our two people that went to Sherbrooke had good meetings. They talked well. They have 2 or 3 that were interested, but they're still talking 2-3 years away. They say what's helping them is the thought of a new healthcare center. So it will be a turnkey, but there's no prospects in the offering. Yeah,
I read your minutes and I saw that, and very, very good to see that they had that feedback with those people, but I'd like to know that if we cannot make sure that we continue to have regular contact with these potential, well, the doctors potentially coming to our area, because I don't wanna see us take it for granted or walk away from it and step back. I'd like
oh
to
no,
see us keep.
that was already talked about. Shirley Watson Poole will be emailing and every so often. And perhaps if they're down this way, we could work something out to meet with them.
I know that, talking with the warden from Clare before about how they went about recruiting doctors for their facility, like they actually went to Sherbrooke and talked to the people, and they were very fortunate that community.
all but one.
Yeah, so,
Wow.
I guess, and I know, and I read your report, or the report also saying that there are potentially a couple students from our area that's
Mhm.
looking at going into medicine, but it's quite a ways away, but I think we need to keep regular contact with these people,
Early bird gets the worm kind of
Yeah.
thing, yeah.
and, I know that,
You gotta sort of wait till they get into the medicine line, that's the thing.
yeah,
We had several that were thinking about it, that are now gone into nursing or gone into,
one of the things too that I'd like to see also encouraged is the fact that, we potentially look and see, try to also, entice these people to go into Weymouth. If they're from Clare, they may be willing to work out of Weymouth and still live in Clare.
that's actually, we are working with someone right now.
Okay.
They don't graduate until next year,
Mhm.
but that's a possibility that's been brought forward. And then they can still do call in Digby if they so desire, the same as Dr. DeVue does.
Okay. All right. And just one question for clarity. I noticed that you had a doctor request possibly coming here to work at the locum on weekends, but he has to apply.
Mhm.
Is that how it works?
Yes, everyone has to.
So,
It's to do with legalities
okay.
and liabilities.
Have you heard from that person yet?
No.
Since the report?
No,
Okay.
the report was just last week.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
No, no problem. Next is our Senior Safety Committee. Counselor Adams and Counselor Tudor, anything new to bring
We
forward?
met on February the 29th to discuss budget, and so the request came to council for the money that they felt they needed. And I see there's no minutes.
Yeah, I just
I
looked through
asked
I just looked through my thing and they didn't get sent in, I was just checking.
Yeah, and I asked her as well, to make sure
So
she's
again,
sending them.
Would you
I
again
will
get them?
call her, yes.
You get them, and then you send to
Yeah.
Karen and Linda? And again, for the last few months, please? It's to keep us up, and it's a good.
Well, yeah. And I thought she said she was sending them, so, yeah.
I just checked to see if she had, and she hadn't.
The next is Transport to Clare, Councilor Miro. There is a presentation planned for Committee of the Whole on Tuesday, April 10th. Tyview Terrace, Warden Gregory, Councilor Miro, Councilor Tudor. There's the minutes of January. Our next meeting is coming up on the 28th of the month. It's this Wednesday anyway, I say the 28th. Any questions on Tyview? Hearing none. Upper Clemens Park Society, we have, as Councilor Miro, we have the minutes of January and February. Waste check, Warden Gregory, Deputy Warden McAlpine. You have your March meeting package and your provincial diversion summary that came. Is there any questions or concerns of waste check? Hearing none. Western County Regional Library, this one's Deputy Warden McAlpine.
I got confused earlier.
That's all right.
I'd like to pass this out, it's a library report for March. I'd like to say in the report, it was nice to see an article done on the Collier
Thank you.
exhibit to capture the rural life of women in 1950. I did attend when they had the opening of that at the Digby Library back in October, and there was quite a number of people there at the time, but I was reading the article here, and it stated that when it was in Weymouth at the Waterfront Library, it drew people to the library that had never been in the building before. And they actually had someone there that was able to identify a couple of people. So that was kind of nice to see. So this is just for information. And then there's also in the back, I'd like to also recognize Rila Race. She was a lady from Shelburne, and she was on the board since 1993, and she passed away. Very nice lady. I worked with her. At the meeting, a little over a week ago now, we were going over our budget budget for the upcoming year. And the budget that we had presented would have the same ask as last year for financially from each unit. So there's no increase there. But the increase would be, like, last year we asked to have the same amount of money before the province clawed back something. So we're just asking for the same amount of money that we had last year. And in the budget, we would have a material budget would be $163,000, and which is in line of where it should be for the size of the services that are provided. And we're also going to be hiring a French services manager to replace the French coordinator too that we had, because she went on to become our executive director. But that position hasn't been filled yet. So,
Can I ask you a question? Around the branches, how come we never see Westport?
Yeah, I was just kind of curious.
No, seriously.
I don't know, does our employee at Westport fill in any summaries too?
I've never been asked. I've never been asked.
You'll have to put the request in.
Yeah, I've always got a bunch of things going on down there at that library.
Talk to them, I don't know why.
Yeah, it's just that, I mean, I'm glad that Weymouth is in there, and I'm glad Digby's in there,
But
but
they're not.
that's another one of our libraries.
I know.
No, I looked at it.
But they're not all the libraries are listed there.
Oh, okay, see, I wouldn't know that.
You know, Metagon's not listed there, so.
Some of these larger libraries also have people coming like from away to do programs and stuff, and we don't really get that down on Westport. Actually, the last several programs I've done on behalf of the library, we've had nobody show up. So what I do is I get in my car and I go around and get the kids. I go to their houses and put a little note with that 20 minutes, get 4 or 5 kids, bring them in. Usually if I go see their parents, say, listen, I got an hour worth of reading stuff for them. Parents are like, put your boots on, go Mr. Two. So this is one of the reasons we don't have really big things, because I literally have to go out into the community and drag children into the library.
One more thing on this, so I've seen in where you read it and around the branches, in Digby, the reserve clerk Maria Wong received her 15-year certificate. I think I'd like to make a motion that we also send her something from the municipality of Digby in recognition of that.
What about Velma?
Thelma just got 30, yeah.
Oh, Velma,
Yeah, I never got down from the page.
there's three 30 years.
Okay.
They are Thelma Pulsper, and then a caretaker, David Porter, and headquarters, I assume that's Yarmouth, and the public called Beatrice Adams. And then we had,
I was just looking at the people that worked in the Digby municipality or the libraries that were we-help fund.
okay,
So I
well,
was looking at
Thelma.
Weymouth, Digby, and Westport.
Yeah,
Thelma's the one I always call when I'm like, what in the world's this about? Thelma
So-
always knows.
I'd like to see us recognize Thelma Pulsifer and Maria Wong for 15 years service and 30 years service.
Is there a seconder?
I second that. Oh.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded, motion carried.
Did Westport Library come up in the agenda? Because I sent in a note.
I asked, and the executive director said that they're still looking at that, or working on that. They'll be talking to you, and they would have to work on some policies if they would allow that to happen. So
Well, I don't see it really being an issue because there is, in other libraries currently, the same sort of thing.
yeah, well,
Yeah.
anyway, it wasn't on the agenda, but I raised the question because you had asked me.
Thank you.
So, but that thing would be for you to talk to them about it.
Okay, yeah. Oh, well.
Okay, the next is our council reports. Councilor Adams.
No, I
Okay, Councilor Tudor.
I had 5, 6 people applying for grants. We're getting near the end, so I've been getting phone calls left, right, and center. I'm actually quite pleased with it. And I got the information from Junior Terrio, and I like the system. There's no real invasion of privacy. They talk directly to the people. I just pass on a little bit of information. If they have trouble with, say, they can't read or anything like that, I can give them a hand. I've got a call about Tribeview. I chatted with them, nothing serious. We're talking to people about fast driving. I get phone calls from people that so-and-so is driving fast at 5 in the morning. And rather than call the cops, I kind of just go and see them, and they can be mad at me. But generally, they're not too mad. They're only embarrassed, really, at first. But it generally works, quiets them down. The food bank's up and running. There's 8 houses it's now serving. And it's based on our narco-socialist principles, so there's absolutely no invasion of privacy at all. And essentially what it is we're doing it ourselves, and it's not official. There's no forms to fill out. There's no going at 10 o'clock for everybody to see you, waiting for your food, nothing like that. And you don't even have to ask. If I find out that somebody's having a bit of trouble for whatever reason, I just bring the box, drop it off right there. And it's been quite popular so far. I'm actually quite surprised at the reaction and how many people need it, because Digby was so far away. It's a problem. It's a 4-hour round trip, you know. It's an hour and a half up. You're at Digby for an hour. You have to wait for the ferry. The gas alone is almost the same as what you'd be getting at the food bank. So I'm very happy with this, and I've been volunteering my boxing students, forcing them into helping me. They have no choice, but they're very good workers, and none of them complained. I was very happy about that. And also, I wrote 4 reference letters. I get a pretty steady stream now, almost once a week, if not more. I had 4 last week. That was just last week for students. I put a lot of work into them, and kids seem to, it's gotten around. So I'm getting reference letter requests like crazy. It's always fun to write them for the kids. The transportation issues, as you know, that they're redoing the rocks in the front of Westport, which I'm like utterly thrilled. That's been like 20 years coming. So nice to see it be done. And there was a couple of little issues with the community that the Department of Transportation and the gentleman who's doing the work down there worked totally with us. We're able to just sail right through. Plus, it looks like there may be a chance. Well, I don't really want to talk about that yet. That's it, I guess. Oh, and I wrote a letter to the minister, and I'm not happy with the reply. I'm going to go into, in regards to the ferries, I will be researching heavily for the week, and our next meeting I'll have some sort of what's the word I'm looking for? Presentation to give in regards to my response to the letter, which I know
Deputy Warden McElwain.
Since the last council meeting, I had a few meetings pertaining to the UNSM and FCM. February 29th, I attended a meeting sitting on a committee that's working on the Ken Simpson lecture series in memory of Ken. And I believe that the topic is going to deal with population. And I raised that as being, I think, is one of the major concerns that we have in rural Nova Scotia. It's going to be in Dalhousie and we haven't confirmed the dates and times and all that yet, but we're working on that. March 1st, I had a meeting, roundtable meeting with 5 of the cabinet ministers. Minister Steele presented not the budget, but he did his pre-budget meeting with us to give us an outline of what they're trying to accomplish, on how they're trying to make cuts, and the message we gave is that we've already received our cuts through the cancellation of the MOU, and we were hoping that we aren't impacted anymore. And we do understand and respect the fact that they are trying to balance their books, but we don't want them to balance their books on the backs of the municipalities. So
They're not even thinking about the people anymore.
no.
People, services, there's no thought. Their only thought, in my mind, is to balance the budget and the heck with the people of Nova Scotia.
Well, they're working on that pretty good. But so we did make sure that they understood, our concerns on the fact that we understand that going to be coming forward, and they're going to be an impact on municipalities, that we need to be at the table right from day one when they start talking about these. Because if we're going to have to bear some of the cost, or most of the cost, we should be having input as to, in the creation of the regulations. After that meeting, we then had a UNSM AMA executive board meeting, and one of the key things that we talked about there was the cap on assessment, and where do we go from here. So we are going to continue to work on that. It's not something that's going to go away. We still feel that it's not fair what's taking place, and it's not a money grab, or it's not going to be extra revenue for municipalities, but it's a fairness issue for the taxpayer. And so that's going to continue to be worked on. And then on the 2nd of March, we had a UNSM board meeting, and the 5th and 6th of March, I attended the climate change conference in Halifax. Terry Thibodeau, our climate change coordinator, attended as well, and it wasn't what I expected it to be for a conference. Some parts of it, some minor parts of it were really good, but some of it, like, they got too technical with data and very dry, and to me that loses the room when they start going down that road. If you're a scientist, then that's fine and dandy, but if you're trying to keep people in the room interested, it was hard. So, but the message is there, like, you know, what they're trying to do, and I think that by us having a coordinator on staff, it's going to go a long way to see us reach our objectives for the municipality. And then right after that, I left on the 7th and got back on the 10th. I had to go to Kitchener, Ontario for an FCM board meeting, and I'll give a better report on that later. I don't have all my stuff with me right now, but I sit on the conference planning committee, and St. John's, Newfoundland had put in to host the FCM conference in 2018, and they were the only people that submitted, and they got turned down because they didn't meet the criteria. And the criteria is you have to have a certain number of available beds or rooms,
Yeah.
and they don't have enough.
They don't have enough?
No.
They did last time?
No, they didn't really last time. I guess apparently from what I heard last time, some people had to stay as far as an hour away from the conference, and they didn't have enough beds. And right now, they're still falling. They've got 3 new hotels proposed to be built, and that still makes them short over 400 beds. Because the criteria to host the FCM's grown, and to the point with you have to have, I believe, around 1,800 beds in order to do, or rooms, I should say, not beds, rooms. And it's gotten to the point now where you're going to find only larger centers are going to be able to host the annual
Which
conference.
is a shame.
It is.
Larger cities, like very large
Well,
cities, with Halifax.
well, like
Halifax is
for our
still-
cardiovascular conference, there's only 3 places in Canada
They can,
that
they're
we
big
can
enough.
go, and that's
Vancouver,
Vancouver,
Toronto,
Toronto,
Montreal.
and Montreal. It's the only 3 places in
How many
Canada.
rooms do they need?
We need something like 4,000 rooms.
Yeah. Well, see, now you understand, I mean, they're only asking for 1,800 here, and they still are having trouble. But in saying that, the sustainability conference, you're gonna have like, smaller centers are gonna be able to maybe try to draw that. Now, we did have, we also had to decide on who was going to get the sustainability conference for the next 2 years. And CBRM had applied, but they didn't meet the criteria on some of to see, but like, if you look at the criteria and what they look for, and it's, they have a policy, and they stick to the policy, and we had actually, the whole issue over St. John's not getting that conference, we spent probably an hour talking about that at the board meeting, because they weren't very happy about that. But they've got to look at what they're saying, if you know, you want to change the policy, that's another thing, but right now the policy's saying this, so. But it does give St. John's the opportunity to rebid again, if they can come back with better numbers than what they had. But it was a concern, and I had people tell me that there were a lot of issues in St. John's the last time. We were fortunate enough that we were close, but there were people that ended up an hour away, and it wasn't too, I mean, they didn't feel like they were even in the conference, because it was that far away. But anyway, so that, they're basically saying you gotta have in close proximity this number of rooms. Anyway, that's my report.
Do you know yet when the spring conference is?
You wanna come?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's in Truro, and it's May 9th, 10th, and 11th, 10th and 11th. It's not that, I have a board meeting on the 9th, but it's the 10th and 11th of May.
And when is the fall one?
Hold on. September. September 19th to 21st.
And where's that?
That's in Halifax.
Okay. All right, and now mine. On February 29th, I met with the constituent over their building. On March 1st, I met with TLC. On March 5th, I talked with Chief, oh my God,
Right.
thank you, Frank Muse. We just discussed a few things in general. Nothing pointed, just, we had a general meeting.
You're talking about the potential.
We just had a general meeting about how important it was that we all work together in environmental safety and, you know, general, very general. On March the 8th, I met with Stephen McNeil and to discuss any of our problems or concerns in our area, which I brought forward, the ferry, other doctors, and several concerns. On February the 13th, I went to a successful criteria thinking of creative problem solving, which was really interesting. I just felt like, oh, I'm never going to get it all. On February 5th, sorry, on March the 15th, I attended the Board of Trade where we did talk about Ian Russell, and that went well. On March the 17th, I went to a 100th birthday party for Mrs. Quigley, and that was in Sandy Cove, and she was well received, and another lady, bright, you know.
She lives at home.
She lives at home, lives with her daughter, but I mean, you'd never know she was 100 years old, okay? You'd think she was like 80, 85.
Yeah.
You know, she walked with a cane. Very, very nice. And then I attended on March 21st, the Friends of Point Prim, their AGM, which was interesting. And then I attended the boundary review on March 24th.
That's sort of in a nutshell that I've met with some other constituents over some concerns. And this coming week, we do have, as I said, a Digby meeting on Wednesday and then a meeting with Cooks Agriculture on Thursday. Is there any other questions or concerns? Deputy Warden?
Just something I wanted to mention, coming up in April, on the 24th, we're going to have a regional meeting.
On April 24th?
Yeah. It's coming.
Oh, that's right,
There was an
that's
email.
right, I got that
I got
notice.
that email, but just I wanted to mention it again.
Yes, I've got regional meeting there, it's already.
That's something that I wanted to institute, like try to have at least one regional meeting in each region annually. So
Mhm.
we're trying to get that going again, but, and our region's gonna be made up of Digby, Yarmouth, and Sheldon counties, same as before.
Yeah, I haven't marked down the time, Jeff, but I did put in regional meeting there.
Time hasn't been confirmed yet.
That's why it's
Still
not
being
in there
worked
then.
on.
Well, that's why I told him I didn't have the time in.
No, I don't either.
So I did mark it down.
Yeah.
Thank you. Any other questions or concerns? There is no in camera tonight, so is there any questions from the audience? I'm hearing none. Could I have someone move to adjourn? Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded, motion carried.